So, a couple years back, my buddies and I tried to stay in the park after closing time. Our plan was to take pictures. Nothing sinister or anything like that. We just wanted to be able to say we did it, you know? Basically, we snuck from bathroom to bathroom, corner to corner, and managed to stay there until they closed the gates and the maintenance team got to work. We were really surprised we hadn't gotten caught. It was almost strange, considering how much talking up Disney security gets. Our hearts were beating like crazy and we sat there for a while, hiding behind a tombstone by the haunted mansion. We noticed that it's true. The Disney staff had signed their names on every single one. So finally, we got the courage to roam about, still being careful as not to be seen. It was really eerie though. The occasional guard or maintenance worker would walk by and we would just duck or hide behind a corner. It worked. It did. Maybe for about a half hour though. Of course, we couldn't keep this up for long, and yeah, they caught us. I mean, give us props for even attempting and succeeding, but that's not where the story ends. So the first thing we said when they caught us was, "Are you going to take us down to the dungeon?" And we laughed, and the security guard chuckled too, so the mood wasn't too dreary. I can't even talk today. He told us we weren't the first people to try to sneak in after hours, but he wanted to know how we did it. We explained the situation, and he actually laughed and said that wasn't a bad plan. He told us that he had to take us to the Disney jail to be further interrogated, which we thought was odd, but we figured from the beginning that if we gotten caught, they'd take us down there. It might have been our plan all along. Maybe we wanted to see the Disney Catacombs more than we wanted to be in the park after hours. So he called for more workers to come and help him escort us, and we went on our way towards Toontown. Then they took us down in the elevator, right into hell. The first thing we noticed was how expensive looking the elevator was. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's hard to explain. It was like a stainless steel interior with mirrors all around, and the floor was this tacky red carpeting. But it looked expensive. There were only 2 buttons in this elevator, not counting the emergency buttons. One said up and the other said down. I had forgotten to mention that they never handcuffed us or zip-tied our hands. They just kind of walked beside us, but expecting we'd follow. Not that we would have tried to make a run for it. I mean, these people seemed decent. Like, how were we supposed to know what was going to happen? The elevator stopped and we started walking down this perfectly shining, bleach-smelling corridor. There were no doors on either side. It was just a plain, empty corridor. We walked for what seemed like an eternity, and no one was talking any longer. It was me, my friends, the security guard, and 2 other maintenance workers. Finally, we reached a heavy metal door that had a security code and card reader. One worker put his card in, the other typed the code on the keypad. I watched the code he typed in. 121566. I only remember it because I found out later what its significance was, and it makes me laugh, looking back. It's strange that I could laugh, looking back. They led me and my friends into another corridor. This one had doors down the hallway walls. Each door had a little plexiglass square, a 10 by 10 inch window at the top right corner. Looks sort of like a psychiatric ward, to be honest. Not so much like a jail. He led us to room 1901, and inside was a single desk, with surprisingly 3 chairs for me and each of my friends. Then they left us in there alone. Closing the door on the way out, we sat in the chairs like obedient little children and waited for them to return. But they never did. 2 hours went by, and no one came back for us. My buddy Tim went to the door, and surprisingly, it was unlocked. He didn't open it though. He was worried that there'd be a guard on the outside and that they'd think that we were escaping. We weren't looking for any more trouble. So about 25 minutes went by, and when we got restless and finally decided to leave the room, the hallway was empty like before. No signs of people. Nothing. We started calling out, "Hello? Is anybody there?" No one answered our calls. We noticed the surveillance cameras were placed above every door, and we got to wondering if there was any living soul in this place at all. We should have left right then and there, but then again, whoever does the right thing in these kinds of situations. Every door looked the same, and each one had a specific number above it. They weren't in order like, say, rooms 1 to 10. They were scattered numbers. For example, our room had been 1901, but the door next to it was 1205. We got to thinking and finally assumed that they were just randomly chosen. We walked up that hallway and had no idea where we were going, what we were hoping to find, or even if it mattered. My other buddy, Guy, decided we should just leave. He said that if they really wanted us here, they would have come back, and maybe it was just a scare tactic. Maybe they just wanted to trick us into thinking we were being arrested, and we were waiting for us outside to laugh, and they were just waiting outside just to laugh at us. I felt weary of this whole situation. And Tim was just quiet the whole time, nodding his head here and there. He was more interested in looking into the door's little 10 by 10 inch windows. That wasn't a good idea. I tried to tell him, but of course no one listens to reason when they're freaked out. And we were definitely freaked the fuck out at this point. The cameras above the doors were capable of motion detection, and followed us as we wandered down the desolate corridor. A little red light at the bottom of the lens, blinking each second. No noise filled the air. All we heard was each other breathing. Then it happened. We had reached the end of the hallway. Unfortunately, the door at the end had another pin code reader. I tried the pin from before, the one I saw them type in, but it was invalid. And then at that moment, the lights in the hallway shut off and we heard the doors. God damn it, I could still hear them to this day. The fucking doors opened, all lining up along the corridor. They made a subtle creak and then a boom as they hit the wall beside them with force. As I said, after I entered the invalid code into the keypad, the lights shut off and the doors opened, except for the door on with the keypad. We also noticed that as the doors opened, each doorway had a little bit of light seeping from its open pathway. We stood there, stunned, for a good 5 minutes, not knowing what to do. We figured we tripped some alarm and that this was just a protocol, a standard drill in case of attempted escape. What we were supposed to think, you know. So we turned the other direction, away from the locked door, and a sense of panic hit all three of us for some reason, and we got the urge to run. No one agreed to running. It was like we all knew we had to at the same time. Some sort of instinct, like a baby gazelle knowing when to run from a lion. We were in a lion's den, all right. It wasn't until about the 10th door we passed that we began to look into the doorways as we passed them. Standing at the doorways were people in costume. We were running past Donalds, Mickeys, Goofies, Plutos, and all different kinds of Disney characters. It was insane, and we screamed at the top of our lungs. I know they say never look behind you as you run, but I did. They were leaving their rooms and following us. Not running, just casually walking towards us. I think that is what made it that much more terrifying. Almost like they knew we had nowhere to go. Now, I don't know if it was all in my head, just from sheer panic and fear of the moment, but I swear to God, I could swear on my mother's life, I heard "It's a Small World" playing over the intercom. I have a fear of dolls, and the ride always gave me the creeps my whole life. Now I could see them, the little robotic dolls standing in the doorways as we passed, still following were the costume characters. The dolls weren't chasing us, thank God. I would have died from a heart attack if I had seen the dolls following suit. But they didn't. It didn't make the situation all that better. I mean, how many times have you been followed by a group of costumed individuals seemingly out to fucking eat you alive? At least that's what I told myself to keep myself moving. Stopping men being devoured by fucking Donald Duck. I don't know about you, but I don't want to go out like that. Tim was crying, Guy was sweating and breathing heavily, and I just kept turning my head to see if we were being followed, and of course we were. I'm not sure how many doors we have passed at this point, or if there were really different characters at each door, but I knew that this hallway had to end at some point, and we were getting it the fuck out of this place pronto. Easier said than done. I looked back at another minute or two of running and noticed that there was nothing behind us anymore that we could see. I heard footsteps, but figured we have gotten so far ahead that they were just still walking casually like before. The hallway was still going on for what seemed like forever, and Guy needed to stop, or he was going to faint from exhaustion. The door beside us was open, with the light on, but nothing inside. I decided we would hide in there until we caught our breath and continued onward. As we closed the door behind us, I noticed the room was 1966. Again, that meant nothing at the time. Tim was pacing in the room. Guy was laying on the floor, still breathing pretty hard, and I was at the window looking out, and I saw nothing. No more music, no nothing. It was dark out and hard to tell for sure. But I figured I would have seen figures, shadows or something. Still, I kept watch. After 15 minutes or so, Guy said he was good to go. Tim was the only one smart enough to pull out of his new Razr cell phone. No signal, of course. He opened the door subtly, quietly, but heard no footsteps. Nothing was following us anymore. But we weren't taking any chances. We got back to running. It only took us another 7 minutes to reach the door, give or take. It had no keypad, and it was open. We entered the corridor from before, and thank God there were no doors. We ran for the elevator and got in, pushed the up button, and stood there, looking at each other, dumbfounded as to what had just happened. None of us spoke. We just waited till the elevator opened back into Toontown and started making our way for the front gate. We kept a low profile, using the same duck and hide technique that had gotten us this far from the get-go. Maintenance workers and security guards were still about, but we couldn't take any more chances. Finally, Tim lost it and took off in a sprint. I couldn't imagine what had set him off until I looked and saw that everyone in the park just stood there, staring at us with blank faces. We heard a voice over the intercom explaining that 3 fugitives had escaped from captivity and needed to be escorted back into the jails below. We booked it, catching up to Tim. Costume characters appeared from the shadows, workers, guards, chasing after us. Everyone was sprinting for us. I couldn't see well, but I just imagined drool dripping from their jowls. They wanted us back down there. We had escaped, and they were pissed. The gate was just up ahead. The creepiest thing about it all was that besides the voice over the intercom, the park was dead silent. No chat from the workers could be heard, even now as we were running for what was assumed for our lives. From the characters, the workers, the guards, no one bothered to shout after us. No one yelled. No one said, "Stop!" Nothing. Nothing at all. Just footsteps and an occasional cough from Guy. Like that. As we made it past the park's front gate, we didn't stop until we got into the parking lot. Our car was gone, and we were left scratching our heads. We continued running down the road, which went on for miles, stopping occasionally for us to catch our breath. We made it into a little corner store, where Tim used his cell to call a taxi cab. When it finally arrived, we took the cab back to the hotel we were staying at, paid for the fare, and went up to our rooms. In the end, the next day, we got a call from the hotel's front desk We headed downstairs. There were officers waiting for us. They said that our car has been impounded and we needed to pay the fine. They didn't ask us any other questions, and we didn't bother telling the police that anything that happened. Even now, on this random board, people who don't have a reason to disbelieve me don't believe me. So how could an officer of the law be expected to? We didn't bother. We simply paid the fine and drove home. We didn't talk about what happened. The whole drive back, it wasn't until a couple weeks later that I got myself to search up the numbers. Curiosity got the best of me, I guess. As you all know, Walt Disney was born on December 5th, 1901. The room that we were in was in 1901. The door next to it was 1205. Also, he died on December 15th, 1966, which was the key code the worker had put in to lead us into the main corridor. What a strange coincidence, I decided. Whether any of that was real at all, I couldn't tell you. Maybe our imaginations ran wild, we were tired, it was around 1 a.m. when we made our escape. So it's plausible that that's the answer though. But I'll never forget it though. And I haven't been back there since. So, that is the Disney Catacombs. Now, it's been a while since I actually did a creepypasta around Disney. I think the last creepypasta I did when it came to Disney was, I think, the fan-made sequel to Abandoned by Disney, which was the tape from Discovery Island, tape from Treasure Island. And that was like 4 years ago. But I kind of find it like fascinating, like these strange conspiracies and crazy theories that people have about Disney and how they operate and everything. Especially with the whole the Discovery Island and even River Country. That's the reason why these Disney creepypastas exist. It's just because of all the mystery surrounding the closing of Discovery Island and River Country, the abandoned parks that they used to have. So my thoughts on this creepypasta in particular, I think it wasn't that bad. It's not as great as like Abandoned by Disney or Room Zero or Tape from Discovery Island. Not by a long shot. There were like a few like grammar issues, but that's just me being a nitpicking son of a bitch. But overall, it was really a fun read. But it was just kind of weird, especially like, when the fuck will any security guards like not put handcuffs or restraints on you? And then like, it makes no sense. Like, if they're there just to take you down there and put you in this fucking interrogation room, and they just leave you there for like 2.5 hours, like, why? Like, why did no one come back? And I think it made sense at some point. All right, I think we should get the fuck out, and they did. But I didn't get the whole thing with the mascots at all. Like, what the fuck was that with the Disney mascots that just came out? It just feels like a prison escape. When all the doors open, they all escape. Like what the fuck? As if they released the zombie versions of them. I'm pretty sure that photo negative Mickey Mouse from Abandoned by Disney was in that pack as well. He wants to show you how he can take his head off. He wants to show you how he can take his head off. And obviously, the catacomb thing is this Disney catacomb idea is kind of loosely based on Walt Disney World's underground tunnels, the utilidors or utility corridors. It's pretty much like a underground, like, not necessarily underground, it's like a first floor, like it's pretty much above ground. Like Disney, the actual Magic Kingdom was actually built above ground, the actual ground, so that the utilidors were actually built under, like the Magic Kingdom was pretty much built above the utilidors. That's pretty much what happened. Pretty much it gives it pretty much helps cast members get from one park to the other without being seen by guests. So I think that is a reason why. But the only issue I had was like it didn't specify which Disney park it was. Like it didn't specify which park it was. Was it Disney World? Was it the Magic Kingdom? Or was it Disneyland? Like there was like no specific details that gave it that idea of like, oh, it's in the Magic Kingdom, oh, it's in Disneyland. Like you know, like there was no like thing there. Like it was just, oh, like the way it starts is just like, so a couple of years back, like nothing like, oh, we decided to try to stay in the park known as the Magic Kingdom or whatever. Like nothing. It's just like, oh, me and my buddies tried to stay in the park after closing time. Like no like specific location. It's just Disney. Like we're just supposed to assume it's either Disneyland or Magic Kingdom. That's pretty much what we're supposed to assume here. But I do like the whole, like, the only cool thing about the whole creepypasta to me, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the cliche thing about it, is the whole connection to Walt Disney. His death and birth. Like the room 1901, room 1205, and the pin code was 121566. Like, I know it's just a kind of cliche thing to do involving like something like that into a creepypasta, but you know, sometimes that's pretty much what people do anyways. There's nothing wrong with that. But overall, I think the creepypasta was okay. It wasn't great. Yeah, again with the grammar issues, but it's probably not the best Disney creepypasta I've read. Abandoned by Disney is probably my favorite one I've ever done. Room Zero, and then a tape from Treasure Island or / Discovery Island. Those creepypastas were fucking phenomenal, even especially Abandoned by Disney. But I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Not bad. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it's just like there's like some certain issues I have with it, like no specific like location, like it's not specified on which location it is. Is it Disney World or Disneyland? Like it's just we decided to stay in the park. Like no, and I guess we're just supposed to assume it's Disneyland or Disney World. That's the only issue I have. But overall, the creepypasta was okay. So, yeah, again, I kind of broke my promise again with the creepypasta thing. Look, it just seems like... Look, there's probably a big reason for that. May has been a crazy month for me. Especially. The cruise... Getting the cruise vlog up. Doing a crazy video that led to crazy things. Like, you know, like I had to deal with the cosplay video I had to do, the work on the cruise vlog. I haven't had any time to read any creepypastas lately. And I wanted to read one. Like the other one I was going, like originally when I was going to read Marina Mordegarv Glesgorv, but that creepypasta is fucking short. It's like maybe 2 paragraphs long or something like that. It's not that long. Like the shortest creepypasta I've read was probably the Masterpiece one, the I Know You're Awake, that one. That was the shortest one, and that record would have been broken by Marina Mordegarv Glesgorv because that one is really, really, really short, and I didn't want to make it like a dramatic reading. have heard like over the years, like, if you're probably wondering, like, why do I read it like the way I do, where I'm not dramatically reading it like most creepypasta channels do. Because I kind of find that a little annoying to me. Like, I want to just read it the way I want to. And it's the reason why I wanted to do creepypasta videos to begin with was because of a YouTuber known as Some Ordinary Gamers, Mudahar. He used to do a lot of like creepypasta videos, and now lately he actually got rid of, like, he deleted or privated most of his creepypasta videos. And I've been getting like a lot of comments like over the last few months uh, of like, oh, I'm glad that you have this video up because Mudahar deleted it. Look, I had no idea about that, but I just decided to read it anyway. I had no idea that Mudahar actually deleted most of his videos, most of his creepypasta videos, but I'm glad that you came across my version, and I'm glad that you liked it. I might not be the greatest reader in the world, but I just like the way his way of reading, his format of the creepypasta videos. That's pretty much what I'm doing here. So I give a lot of credit to him. I just like the way he does his creepypasta readings. It's just gameplay in the background. Pretty much most people will be paying attention to the gameplay in the background. And just me talking normally and not reading like a dramatic person would. So I think that's officially it on this creepypasta. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Be sure to ring that bell to be part of the notification squad. And be sure to also check out my Instagram because I make cool edits of Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, even myself. And I also do reenactments and cosplays on there, so go check it out. Also, I want you to start sending me suggestions for creepypastas. I want to see some creepypastas suggestions for me. Like, I know the obvious ones that you're probably going to be sending me, like Bend Round, Lavender Town. Those are the old, like, Laughing Jack or something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure you're going to be, like, sending me the obvious ones, like Bend Round. That's probably going to happen at some point. I don't know when. But it's in the cards. And I know that I've said this so many times, and I'm pretty sure you're sick and tired of me mentioning this particular creepypasta, but I have every reason to, because I loved it. The Showers. That has been definitely a creepypasta I've been dying to read to all of you, and I never got the chance to, because of a lot of stuff that's happened for me, because I have other projects that I wanted to work on and a lot of personal stuff for myself as well, so I haven't had any time to really do it. I wanted to like do it for like a Halloween special, where I read that creepypasta, because that one is actually it's a longer one. So I want to like read that, so let me know leave me any suggestions for creepypastas for me to read. But also, let me know if you want me to read Marina Mordogov Glesgorv, that one, the short creepypasta. I think we reached our point here. I've dragged on long enough. So let me know if you want to see more. Let me know any creepypastas you want me to read next, and I guess that's officially it. So until next time, JRDL96 signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.